Hi guys, Allie here. So it's no secret that the job of being a Hypixel staff member can be rather difficult at times, especially having to deal with some interesting people. If you've seen my staff edition of Reading Mean Comments, you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about.
Why did you permaban instead of temp ban? I'd like to see the proof. Oh wait, you probably don't have any because I don't hack, dumb mod. Oh, mod's here, the power abuser. You don't even ban obvious hackers. Do people have to tell you they're straight up hacking for you to ban them? OMG. Fucking unban me or give my money back, you pathetic trash server mod. I said one thing and you banned me for a death threat. People insult each other all the time over the internet. Fucking retard, grow up. How are you still a mod? Allie MCC needs to be demoted. She can't do her job right. Get demoted, you cunt. I'm done with this racist server. You muted me for saying the N-word, but I'm black, so I should be unmuted. Out of all the mods I have respect for you, but this is an outrage. I do not hack. You are such a fucking idiot. How did you ever get mod? This is absolute madness. Allie, suck my dick. You suck. Kill yourself. I'm sad you aren't dead. Can you please kill yourself so I can be happy again? Allie MCC, has it always been your life goal to be an admin on a fucking video game for kids? Get a life. Get your throat slit by ISIS, you cunt. Get your neck snapped in a rat trap.
Yeah, it gets super crazy sometimes. I came across a lot of these sorts of individuals in my near 3 years I spent on the staff team, and since you guys really seem to like my first Hypixel story video, I have another one for you guys about the worst person I ever dealt with as staff. This started a really long time ago. So long ago, in fact, that I'm honestly not too sure how this all began. See, there was this girl, and as you guys know, I usually don't use names in my stories, especially for this individual, since she deserves no attention or anything ever, so I'm going to call her Pimple, because this sort of individual is literally just a blemish on the face of society, and I just... Ugh. Anyways, I don't remember exactly how old she was at the time. I think she was about 13 or 14 from what I was told, but her mental age was much younger, and it showed. I wasn't even the first staff who had problems with her. She was the type of person to break the rules, like hacking or being extremely rude, and hold a massive grudge against whoever punished her, even though it would be more than justified. Certain people she didn't like just because they were staff. She would then endlessly harass staff members and get herself in even more trouble, and it was just a nasty cycle. So you might be wondering, but Allie, if she was such a troublemaker, how was she still allowed on the server? Well, my curious comrades, the answer to that is quite simple. See, she had an older sister who was a mod back then. This sister was slightly more tolerable than Pimple, at least publicly, but behind the scenes and on social media, she was almost as much of a bad word that I can't say without probably being demonetized. And the staff manager at the time, who I mentioned in my last story video, Kay, was also close friends with both of them. And he was very, forgiving when it came to Pimple's punishments. The punishment guidelines back then were already very light on donors, but oh my god, I lost count of how many times she would get muted or banned, then run to Kay crying and apologizing and insisting she'll never do it again. Then he rescinds her punishment, and she goes right back to her old ways and repeats the process. It's also very likely that she was blackmailing Kay about certain things, but that's a story for another time. So that's also why he was lenient with her punishments. It was frustrating, to say the least. Since she knew she could get away with a lot of things, she was frequently pushing her boundaries and testing the limits of what it would take to actually get her in trouble. One of her more frequent targets of harassment was another staff member and one of my friends by the name of Cheetah Pet. At some point, Cheetah Pet had come to me really upset one day because Pimple and her friends were going out of their way to harass her and make her job difficult, so this was the first time that I had stepped in. I don't even think I punished her since we just wanted it to stop. So I only talked to her and asked her to knock it off, and of course, Kay probably would have flipped if I had given her some kind of punishment anyway. But by getting involved, I may as well have painted a huge target on my forehead because you can see where this is going. The way this girl likes to play her little games was to start off small. For example, if she came across a staff member she didn't like, she would would ask really weird questions that would be difficult to answer. And if we couldn't answer, she would just laugh and go on about what terrible staff members we are, and how we shouldn't be a part of the staff team, and how we need to be demoted. That would often lead to a mute, which only spurred her on further. She would then take it to Twitter and insult people in the most horrendous ways, all the while, of course, claiming that she did nothing wrong, that she's completely innocent, and we're just abusing our positions. Back then, there was a rule that if someone harassed a staff member outside the network, there would be consequences on the server. But that never seemed to apply to dear little Pimple. Blocking her never did much good, because then she'd just sick her friends on us or make multiple accounts just to get in a few nasty comments. Some people, including myself, had to keep their accounts privated for an extended period of time just because of her. This went on for over a year, with this putrid wretch doing everything she possibly could to try to make our lives miserable. She would literally stalk and scour our posts and social media to look for any sort of weakness she could mock or exploit for her benefit. Whether it was a topic we loved and enjoyed or something we were struggling with in our personal lives, nothing was off limits. As I said, she was only about 13 or 14 at the time, but she was quite the vile little beast. Eventually, Kay decided to take the hint that we were sick of her and said he would give her one last chance, and if she screwed up one more time, she would be permanently banned. Which honestly, everyone kind of scoffed at, because by this point she had many final chances in the past, but we were hopeful he'd actually stick to it this time. So then, when I'd gotten a report that she was hacking yet again in a Blitz game, I was all over it. She was toggling, so it was very difficult to catch her and obtain enough evidence, but at some point she left her cheats on with multiple mobs behind her, and, well, needless to say, she got busted. Now, obviously, I could've and should've just banned her outright, wiped my hands clean of the situation, and been done with it, but for some reason, I figured I should tell Kay and give him the news first. So I did, and sent him the video I'd recorded of her hacking. And that was honestly probably the worst mistake I made throughout this whole ordeal. Because even though he agreed that she was definitely hacking, Kay said, "Do not ban her right now. If you ban her yourself from your video, her sister will hate you and could challenge the video and come to me about it, and that would cause even more drama and blah 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 blah." Just seeming to pull random excuses out of thin air to avoid the inevitable. So I was very confused, as I'm sure any normal person in this situation would be, because to me it seemed like a very simple solution. This girl hacked, so how about maybe don't unban her like you said you would? But for some reason, he said it would be better for me to create an alternate forum account or have someone else do it and upload the video to the report section. And reports on the forums were visible to players at the time, so basically he wanted me to show the video to the public and expose her. I saw no reason for this. It seemed like just a massively complicated process and a huge waste of time, but I wanted this girl banned, so I said okay. Immediately, I messaged Cheetah Pet and explained the situation, and she was just as thrilled as I was that Pimple had finally been caught, and she agreed to help. She enlisted her brother, who was also familiar with this horrid individual, and he made a brand new forum account and uploaded the video to a separate YouTube channel and posted it in a report. And the backlash was almost instantaneous, both for Pimple and for me, because everyone who saw it couldn't deny she was hacking, and she was rather well known at that point. So many people were also rather delighted that she was busted, since, as I said, she didn't always hide her cheats very well. But then she came onto the thread, and somehow, even though I disabled the texture pack I had always used back then, turned off the staff chat before I started recording her, she knew It wasn't any ordinary spectator that recorded this video. She already knew it was me and called me out for it with some rather choice words. But following Kay's instructions, I maintained my innocence since she had no way to prove it, and it got so hectic at one point, Hypixel himself posted on the report saying he had run an IP check on the forum account that posted the report, and obviously it didn't match to me, and he stated so. The report was locked and dealt with, though I don't remember if I handled it myself or left that to another mod, but regardless, she was permanently banned, which was a relief at first, but being banned forever, she didn't have anything to lose anymore. So the harassment only got worse, especially since she suspected I was responsible for her punishment and had been the one to post the video to the public. To make matters worse, her sister had gone to confront Kay, assuming he knew more about the situation. Being staff manager, I thought Kay would have had my back on this, since he essentially created this mess, or if he wanted to be honest, at least explain that posting the report was his idea. But no. He sang like a canary and instantly ratted me out to the sister, conveniently forgetting to mention that creating the forum alt and posting the video was his awful plan. And of course, the sister passed the information along to Pimple. That was when I became her #1 target, and she made sure I knew it and that I had, according to her, ruined her life. Which, you know, I already knew this girl was fairly screwed up in the head, but to say her life was ruined over being banned from a Minecraft server? Oh, please. You'd think that even if it did mean so much to her, then she wouldn't have constantly acted the way she did. So, she kept going after me on Twitter, YouTube, pretty much wherever she could. And for the most part, it was easy enough to ignore. None of it really bothered me since, as with the majority of hate I receive, it's from insecure, immature, bored, pathetic individuals in desperate need of attention. But in early 2015, I posted to the community that I had been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And remember when I said she took any weaknesses or personal situations to exploit and mock them? Yep. She had created an entire Twitter account with my picture and pink breast cancer ribbons splashed all around it, multiple vile, vicious posts saying that she hoped my cancer would become terminal and that I would die a slow, painful death, and also tagged many of my friends so they all could see. This wasn't something that made me cry or kept me up at night or anything. Insults from this child still didn't mean anything, but being freshly diagnosed, this was still a little bit of a sore spot and bugged me slightly more than normal that this pest would go so far to try to bring me down over something so petty. But even so, it was satisfying enough to keep in mind that just the click of a button would block her and make her go away, at least for a little while, and to know that she was never coming back to the server, or so we all thought. I don't know exactly when it happened, but it didn't take very long, which in hindsight wasn't the least bit surprising. But Kay unbanned her. I don't know exactly why, but I assume it was for the same reasons as always. He was close with both her and her sister, and Pipple was very likely blackmailing him over things he was doing. Plus, those who remember this particular staff manager know that he was often way too forgiving when it came to punishments and unbans in the first place. But I think the most frustrating part of this whole thing was to know that she was supposed to be on her last chance, then to catch her screwing up yet again and going through all of that nonsense Kay wanted me to do with the report, having him rat me out, and dealing with all the harassment for months. It was all for nothing. The only lasting outcome from all that was that I had a much bigger target on my back and had to deal with her torment more frequently. There were honestly times when I considered quitting the staff team just because of her, just wiping all my accounts and starting over where she couldn't find me. But I knew that doing so would only mean she had won, and that would open the floodgates to even more harassment and verbal abuse. And Kay kept trying to say, oh, she apologized. She learned her lesson. No, damn it. She's done this like 20 freaking times already. She's not sorry. She's definitely going to keep breaking the rules and being an absolute nightmare to deal with. And you're just going to keep falling for this ridiculous charade of hers. And there wasn't anything any of us could do. Even though several people were upset by this and complained to Kay, and he was fully aware of the sorts of things we had to endure, she had our staff manager wrapped around her finger. So, we just had to deal with it. Until one day, by the grace of any higher power that exists in the universe, Kay had been forcibly removed from the staff team by the other admins. This is something that's mostly unrelated to this story, so as I said, I'll talk about this in another video sometime in the near future, but it meant that Pimple had finally lost her get-out-of-jail-free card for good. And I kid you not, you guys, it became a literal race to see who could log on and ban her first. She was gone from the server, the forums, everything. And it was for good this time. It was like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, the sky was clearer, the birds were singing, everything was wonderful. For a while, she still tried to keep up the harassment on social media, even months and months later. But at this point, I think she was kind of running out of steam, because honestly, it became a pretty sad sight to see. Every time she made a new Twitter account to hurl insults my way, the only reaction I had was to laugh at this little girl who was still so obsessed with me even a year after her final ban. While it was rather flattering knowing she was still thinking about me after all this time, it was just pathetic. She didn't get the better of me or anyone else like she expected, and we had the last laugh. As of recording this, it's been about a year and a half since I last heard from her. Both her and her sister sort of disappeared a long time ago. And as exasperating and obnoxious as she was, I feel like in some way I did learn a lot from this experience, because this was the ultimate test of my patience, having to put up with her and her harassment for years, and after successfully doing so, I feel like I can handle anything. I have no idea where she is now or how she's doing, but I genuinely hope she's gotten some professional mental help because she sorely needed it. And if she stopped spending the majority of her time trying to make other people miserable, then maybe she could actually be a decent person and find more productive ways to feel better about herself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I said, I have many more stories to tell from my time on Hypixel and stories from crazy experiences in my personal life as well. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out, and check out some of my other videos if you'd like. I upload every day, Monday through Friday. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye! Oh, and one more thing I should mention before I go. She was actually a dude! That's right, Pimple was not a girl after all, which I'd heard rumors of in the past, but someone confirmed it to me while I was interviewing other people for this video. Not even like a transgender situation where she was born a guy and wanted to become a girl. No, just some weird dude pretending to be a girl on the internet to manipulate guys into getting what he wanted, and even made a false rape accusation at some point. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm really not. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!